This is 93.7 The Ticket.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Three-time national champion Vershawn Jackson.
Touchdown. Vershawn Jackson, number 34, gets the touchdown. Terrell Farley, defending Terrell Farley, who last week in his first start was a holy terror, number 43.
And Jake Bakoven.
I've talked to a few cats. They said that Bach got some game, man.
Coming at you live from the Coppels Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Powered by Bauer. Here he is, Vershawn Jackson.
Yes, here we are here on 93.7 The Ticket. I am Jake Bachman. As you don't hear any drum rolls or whatever it is that I try to do to mimic Terrell Farley. Terrell is not in studio, and Vershawn will be joining us from the Red Room here momentarily for just a minute. For a few minutes, I suppose. You just got myself, Jake Bachman, in studio. But it is a very exciting time because we've got a guest coming up here in about 10 to 15 minutes. We will bring in Brad Baluchian, who is the author of a few different books, but the most recent book, The Six Pack on the Open Road in Search of WrestleMania. So we'll get to do a little bit of nuclear heat here on the Captain, if you know what I'm talking about. I do a little show called Nuclear Heat, a wrestling show here on 93.7 The Ticket that you can find usually Tuesday nights, anytime I can fit in. So I wanted to bring a little bit of a look to wrestling. But this is interesting if you're not a wrestling fan, even to go back to the 1980s and see what it was kind of like for life outside the ring for the likes of Hulk Hogan and the Iron Sheik. So and many more. So that'll be a lot of fun. We'll do that here in just a bit. Also, want to take care of some business too. Thursday, Give to Lincoln Day, and we'll be joining Cedars to kind of partner in that. Since 1947, Cedars has been here for kids who have no other safe places to go. From the very beginning, we have believed in every kid, providing them with the safety and stability they deserve. Your gift to Cedars on Give to Lincoln Day will support services that show the kids in our care the community believes in them too. Give to Lincoln Day will be Thursday, May 30th, and we'll be out there. We invite you to come out there. We've done this before with wild success last year, and it's a good day to feel good about yourself. And what better way to do that? Not just feel good about yourself, but feel good about the community. But if you do want to feel a little bit better about yourself, what better way than to give to kids that are in need, and in the future, Lincolnites and folks that will be running things one day. So, that's all for the generation to come. So that's a little business that we have to start off with. Once again, Vershawn Jackson will be joining me shortly. Just looking at a text there got me distracted there. But as we get rolling here on the Captain, I guess for the start for the business of the weekend too, just kind of running through things. The Supernovas, if you, I'm sure everybody's heard by now, won the inaugural Pro Volleyball championship there, the Pro Volleyball Federation Championship, sweeping the Grand Rapids Rise. So I just wanted to also say, great job, job well done from everybody here involved with that. I know it's been a long season, and it certainly feels good to cheer on and help out a winner, and we were able to do that year with, again, the inaugural Pro Volleyball Federation season championship starts and hopefully stays for years to come in Omaha. But that's a good way to start for the Omaha Supernovas, once again sweeping the Grand Rapids Rise. So congratulations to them and everybody that got done there. Also, congratulations to, I thought this was kind of cool, a few former Huskers that were able to come back from the NFL and finish off their degrees. Cam Taylor-Britt and Nathan Gary, a few of the names that were walking this weekend. So, I mean, obviously it's a big weekend for a lot of young people. Graduating is a big deal. And, you look across the board, there's some other names of interest: Casey Tamanaga, Nash Hutmacher, the list goes on and on of people that got their, reached their goal. And so I know we see a lot of, from when you watch the sports and the athletics, it's hard to kind of think outside. There is still the student part to the student athlete. And whether you do well or not, I mean, there's always at least something to fall back on there is your degree. And it's especially cool to see a guy like Cam Taylor-Britt or Nathan Gary come back, because that was part of the focus in the look, or when they were brought to college football, and they've obviously made it. They were one of the few, the 1% or whatever that makes it to the NFL. And Nate Gary, I believe, played last year. I mean, I know he's kind of getting toward, I don't want to say the end of his career. We'll see if he's able to kind of pick up, but he's kind of been bouncing around lately. Cam Taylor-Britt, obviously very much just starting his career with the Bengals, and one of the better cornerbacks for one of the better teams. We'll see if the Bengals are able to bounce back this year from a little bit of an injury-riddled year last year. But Cam Taylor-Britt had a very successful season. I think it's cool to see those guys come back and graduate. And then I just thought some other ones that were kind of interesting. Roquan Buckley and Chief Borders, both guys that transferred, hit the transfer portal. And so, from some way you could look at it and say, well, maybe they didn't quite get done what they wanted to here, but they both walked as well. So they were able to graduate with a degree from the University of Nebraska, play for the Husker football team, and now maybe are moving on with their lives. So as we know, with their destinations that they've landed at. But very cool to say that they will always be Huskers and Husker graduates. So I think that's pretty cool as well. And then, of course, this weekend, I guess the other things, just as we kind of get through our warm-ups here at the beginning of the show on the captain, is in the NBA. A few different things. There's a NASCAR fight, which who doesn't love NASCAR fights? We can get to here in a little bit. I want to ask for Sean about that too, because it's kind of interesting. NASCAR fans, obviously, if you're a diehard, you're really into it one way or the other. But for a lot of folks, they like fights and they like crashes, which isn't always safe. But that's kind of what draws the eyeball sometimes to that sport, and that's what we had a little bit of fisticuffs, a little bit of fights thrown there between Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But in the NBA, the defending champs are done despite a 9-point lead heading to the fourth quarter. The Timberwolves were able to come back and beat Denver. I know there's a lot of Denver fans here around here. Denver had somewhat of an easier path last year. I don't want to say easy. There's no easy path to a championship, but I guess a path that just kind of opened up to them last year, where they were able to knock off a lot of lower seeds. And obviously, even when they got to the championship game, an 8 seed in the Miami Heat. So, I mean, I still wonder, and it's not anything to take this away. I mean, Denver players or Denver was quoted, people from Denver were quoted as saying, Minnesota was built to beat them. And, if you look at the build of the team and having, kind of twin towers and the bigs and Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, you could maybe make that argument, but I don't know if Denver is, I know they're the champion, but I don't know if that was necessarily the case. I'd like to hear from Minnesota on that side of things. Because Denver is good. I don't think they're overwhelmingly good. And that's kind of what the NBA has been post Kevin Durant and the Warriors and LeBron and the Cavs and those super teams. The last, I think it's up to 6 years, or will be this upcoming season, that you've had a different champion. So I kind of wonder too how people feel. Do you like the dynasty teams, the teams that maybe you could argue are all-time greats? That was kind of the fun part, I suppose, with those Warriors teams. But the bad part about that is going into the season, you would just kind of say, okay, we're waiting on the Warriors and Cavs. And there's really, outside of injuries, no other team that's going to get in the way of that. So what is all this dancing around in the regular season? And even the playoffs were just kind of hurt, I think, by that. As a Celtics fan, I was still invested in hoping that my team could get there and somehow miraculously pull it off. But to my, kind of that point, they were up against a injured Cavs super team a few years back with Kyrie Irving out, and they made it to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And I just felt like, man, this is a major success, even though they didn't quite get there. And the Cavs, who were beat up at that time, then again lost to the Warriors. But I just kind of wonder how people feel about the NBA. Would you rather you'd have those big dynasty teams that you can argue, hey, they could beat the 96 Bulls, or do you kind of like the openness of it? And I think there's still a bit of an openness to it as well. With Dallas defeating OKC in 6 games, you now have Dallas and Dallas and Minnesota in the Western Conference Finals. And then the Pacers shooting 67% from the field, knock out the Knicks. who just had one too many injuries. I mean, there's so many injuries for that Knicks team, so beat up. And then Jalen Brunson fractures his left wrist. I mean, the injuries just keep coming for the Knicks. It's kind of tough to watch, but either way, the Pacers were just hitting everything. So they get the win and they move on to take on the Celtics. And so, I think the Celtics certainly are favored in that one. And as a Celtics fan, you kind of get that. You see this narrative too out there is the Celtics. This is the one they got to win. And Draymond Green's kind of big about this. They've done everything except for actually bring the title home. And now, as you see it for the Celtics, this is their opportunity. But they've been here before. I mean, that's the problem is people see the Celtics are really good, but they don't quite trust them because they lost to the 8 seed Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They lost to the Warriors, past their prime Warriors 2 years ago in the championship. So you don't quite trust the Celtics, and that's what I think kind of keeps this open is that Minnesota, Dallas, even Indiana still feel like they have a viable chance of bringing this home because the Celtics, who are the favorites, just aren't quite trustworthy to get it done. But we can bring in Rashawn Jackson now, as long as we can hear him. I want to make sure.
Check, 1, 2.
Yeah, we can hear you, VJ. I kind of did this opening monologue to what was all about in the weekend, and I started because I wanted to get your thoughts on the Omaha Supernovas. Were you there? I know you were excited that your hometown brings home the inaugural Pro Volleyball Federation Championship.
I've got a video that we went and we had spoke to the team and stuff like that, and I got a video of what I said to the team that I'm gonna release that I had not released at all because I wanted to wait, and so I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna reserve judgment, and I'm gonna let the video do the talking. How about I do that?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But for Omaha Supernovas, our team here in the big city, to bring home the first inaugural win is absolutely huge in the grand scheme of things. When you think about this being the first professional football league, volleyball league that for women that is paying them to be professionals. And let's not forget about the $1 million. There's $1 million split going on here right now.
That's right.
Everybody's thinking about their cut of that meal ticket. So, when you really look at what we did, it's monumental. I don't think these ladies will know until 20, 30 years from now, especially if they put a stream of wins together now, right? If they start to say, okay, we didn't just win the first one. We won the second one, the third one, the fourth one. When they start to do those types of things and win back-to-back championships, and then you look back 20 years from now it really starts to mean some things, especially there's going to be more stars and more women that's going to continue to make the league greater and greater and greater as time goes on. But for us to win the first one here in Omaha, I think it's nothing short of amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the environment, the environment was cool, obviously, with a home team, basically a home setting at the championship game, just to get the sweep too, after such drama in the semifinals where he had to come back from down 2-0 and come back to win that thing. Not that Grand Rapids wasn't competitive in the last couple of sets, but to get the sweep, to get the win, you didn't have too much nervousness there, I suppose, as an Omaha fan, to feel like, hey, today is our day, and this league is ours to begin it up with. As you swear off your LSU hat, I want to ask you, are all decked out in LSU.
Wait a minute. No, we can't get off the Supernovas just yet.
All right, we're not off the Supernovas.
Hold on. So did they break their attendance record? I didn't catch that.
I don't know. I have to check that out.
We need to see what their attendance record, because we did a push right at the end where we tried to give away 1,000 tickets, and I know to try to push that attendance record over the top for the most people in CHI history, I thought. Now I don't know if we made it there or not, but I know I gave away, I don't know, 70 tickets. I don't know if I quite made it to 100, but I gave away a lot of tickets. So there's a lot of people that went to this volleyball match that hadn't went. PJ Smith took his entire family. PJ Smith's got 3-4 girls. They're all girls. So for those girls to be able to watch us win that championship, see, that's what's monumental. The memories that the young people have when they strive to be like them, when they strive to say, what is it going to take for me to be like De La Cruz? What can I do to be like, to strive to be like these young ladies who did something that has not been done before. So when you get that and you get a chance to be there live, it inspires you to be them one day. And I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, when you're in the moment, you just kind of celebrate and you just try to take it all in. But I think you're right. As time goes on, we will start to kind of feel more of how historic and exciting that moment was. And of course, as this league goes on, and it's weird to say as an Omaha fan, but at some point you do, you're going to want competition, and they have competition. Don't get me wrong. They weren't even the number one seed entering the playoffs. I'm just saying they're not going to win every year. And so you want to take advantage and be in the moment when they do win. And so I want to see, we'll see the banner being raised and see kind of what they do with that, because that is one thing I will say. There's a lot of Creighton banners up there and retired jerseys. And I know you're not the biggest, I'm not, anti-Creighton, and I'm not really anti-Creighton either. I'd like to see the Corver and McDormand jerseys. I think there's history up there, but it'd be nice to get some of the Supernovas colors up there in the banners as well.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go change into my Supernovas gear.
Oh, there you go.
You asking me about the LSU, right?
You got some of the Eye of the Tiger type of feeling this morning, huh?
Yeah, it was just it matched. It
Yeah.
matched. And so I was just like, let's throw it on.
Well,
No particular reason. I don't go for LSU in anything, especially now that what's the basketball girl? Reese? What's her name? Angel Reese?
Yeah, Angel Reese. Yep.
Yeah, since she gone, I don't got to cheer for LSU at all. But I do like the purple and gold.
Well, and I do think, obviously you've had family that has played LSU before. I think that's why you got a lot of the gear. I do think it is. I kind of like, I have these other, you have your different conferences. You kind of have your favorites. LSU is just, it's really cool when LSU is good, and they've been a little bit down. We'll see if Kelly can get them going again. But I think if you're talking about destinations, I still think a night game at LSU might be the top destination in college football.
I don't know if we want them problems.
Not for Nebraska. I'm thinking.
Yeah. Oh, you just saying in general.
Just in general. If I want to go to a college football game, I think a night game at LSU would be near the top. Baton Rouge.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely fun. It's worth the time to go if you have never been to a game. It's a party on the inside and outside. It's just a party. That's what it is. That's what I can say is, aside from Nebraska game atmosphere, I think the LSU atmosphere, to me, is about second up there with me as far as college atmosphere.
Yeah.
Just because they know how to get behind their football team. They've got different chants, which I think we got to do more than to go Big Red. Do you remember, and I haven't seen this done in a while, seriously. You remember when one side would say, go, the other one would say, Huskers. Do you remember that? Yeah,
they kind of transitioned that to Husker Power. So they do that, but I do remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, but
they don't really do that.
Have you heard Husker Power? I've been at just about every game, sir. Even the spring game. Did you hear it?
I guess I was in the box, so I didn't necessarily try to listen it out to it. I usually, when I go there, because they have the cheerleaders hold up the Husker and Power. I think it's before the tunnel walk usually when that's gone on.
But they usually do it between breaks.
Yeah, you do that too. I mean? Yeah.
When they get rocking on that Husker Power, that's energy, ladies and gentlemen. Fans, we got to get that back going.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's energy. You got the energy that the fans give off should be what the players are using to go and beat the other team up. Because that's what they're playing for, right? The fans, right? They're playing for their families and all that good stuff. But ultimately, these guys are playing for the fans. They're playing for the people that go to watch. The majority of the people that go to watch is not their family. It's the fans, right? I still have fans of mine 30 years later because they watched what I did 30 years ago. So it's all about the fan experience, and the fans are the ones who breathe energy. So I hope that with the sideline switch, right? First year, technically the first year. I don't count the COVID year. But with the sideline switch, I'm hoping that that gives us an extra boost. My only, on the west sideline, that's a lot of old ticket holders, older, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it should be a lot quieter over there. You should be able to get signals in and out. And then I think what's good is now you can unleash your what do you call them? Student section. You can unleash the student section to go bananas. The student section right now should be trying to figure out different cheers that they can do behind the opponent's bench. It works. When they're on offense, the student section should be going bananas.
How about the mandatory question? Whenever somebody allows alcohol sales and it's new, Michigan is the latest team to allow alcohol sales at the Big House now. You think Nebraska ought to allow some alcohol sales? Maybe that could get some people rolling. Maybe get the Nebraska nice rattled out of you a little bit, so you can be a little bit of a harsher environment.
We're a go big red conservative state, sir.
You don't see it happening.
We're going to be the last to do that type of crap.
Yeah,
you understand me? Not as long as Coach Osborne's alive, you won't be selling no alcohol at Tom Osborne Field. Are you crazy? You got to be crazy. Pick your own poison. If you want to bring your own poison to the game, fine. But we will not serve poison to the people and allow them to go out and do something stupid. Okay? So I don't see it happening. I can't say it won't happen in my lifetime. I think it will. I don't see it happening in Coach Osborne. As long as Coach Osborne is alive, I do not see it happening, sir. Period.
Fair enough.
It's too risque.
Yeah. Even though college football is getting more and more like the pros, right? I still agree with you. I think whether it happens, when it happens, I'm not sure, but I do think Nebraska will be one of the last.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. So we're in Nebraska. We know how it works here. When you know the rules, you play by the rules, okay? If you don't know the rules and you mess up, that's different. But when you know the rules and you mess up, completely different ball game here. So I don't know. I don't know necessarily if that's going to make us what that will do. I think it will make probably people more disrespectful, because alcohol is liquid courage. We all know that, right? You get a little sip. A normal, quiet person, if they get 2 or 3 drinks in them, will be the biggest mouth in the room. Okay, I got a big mouth just normally. So give me some alcohol, it's gonna be, oh my God. You understand? So I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze here at Nebraska that we need to go and put alcohol on our campus. I think here's what we need to do: win some doggone football games. Okay, then I think it solves a lot of problems. But to bring alcohol would just be trying to put a Band-Aid over a wound. I think. And I think it would. I just think it would make chaos. You would have fights. You don't really see very many fights. How many fights have you ever seen in a Nebraska football game?
I can't think of any. I mean, I'm sure there's been events here, or, here and there where somebody had to get kicked out, but I mean, not in my experience. And I've been to Memorial Stadium, 100 times.
That's what I'm saying, though. Think about that. Bro, I done been to Philly, I done been to Denver, I done been to Colorado. We was walking through the Colorado deal and it was 2 or 3 fights just walking through.
Yeah.
So for me to be a guy who's been around this all my life, okay, I'm almost 50. And when I started watching Nebraska football to when I started playing for Nebraska football in 1993, I was born in 1975, if that gives you a little timeline. So in 1993, when I played for Nebraska football, I don't remember people getting kicked out because of fights. Now, Colorado, anywhere else, Kansas State, there's stuff going on. And I'm just simply saying, wet campuses for sure. I know if there's no fights that you add alcohol inside the stadium, that means people are already getting liquored up on the outside of the stadium before they come in, right? That's the meaning of a tailgate. But here's what's the buffer when that happens. They get a little liquored up, they come into the game. Halftime. Well, they just had 2 quarters to come down off whatever drunken high they were on. Maybe they go out, they got 15 minutes to go get. How many drinks you going to get in 15 minutes? Not very many. You might get a beer, right? Or 2, unless you're just a drunk.
You're really into it, yeah.
Yeah. All right. You get a bottle down in 15 minutes, you're drunk and you don't need to go back into the game. Yeah. So then you go back into the game. Now, here lately, what's happened is they come back in the game. Everything's going good. And we lose by how many points? Exactly.
3?
So now,
seems like 3.
Exactly. And so, everybody asks the question, you guys want to go drink? And you know the answer they give them? The same one you just gave. Give it to me again. Probably not.
Yeah.
It's not really worth it. I'm just going to go home.
Yeah.
It's a bummer when Nebraska loses.
Oh, I know. Downtown after a victory is so much fun. And then after a loss, you just look around, everybody's looking
Maybe
down.
They should add alcohol so we can turn on all the little Hulkamaniacs to go absolutely bananas in Huskerville on Tom Osborne Field.
Well, speaking of Hulk Hogan, we have a special guest, Brad Baluchian, author of The Six Pack on the Open Road in Search of WrestleMania. He's talked to Hulk Hogan. That's part of this book. We will talk to him about that book. He's also got another book called Wax Pack on the Open Road in Search of Baseball's Afterlife. So this is kind of life outside the ring, outside the field. So we'll be interested in kind of talking with him. He's coming up next year on The Captain on 93.7 The Ticket.
Spring in Nebraska brings green grass and warmer weather, but it also brings severe storms which can cause damage to your home. Meadowlark Exterior specializes in hail, storm, and wind damage restoration, as well as roofing, siding, and gutters for commercial or residential buildings. Meadowlark Exteriors focuses on fine craftsmanship and proves that in their attention to detail. They offer free roof inspections and estimates and insurance claim assistance, serving the Lincoln and Omaha surrounding areas. Call today at 402-875-2956 or go to meadowlarkexteriors.com. Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
Have a passion for the outdoors? Nebraska Game and Parks is seeking seasonal teammates. Work in scenic state parks, contribute to vital research projects, and care for our natural spaces. Seasonal staff assist with special events, provide customer service to outdoor enthusiasts, and make a difference for conservation. Join the adventure at outdoornebraska.gov. Apply online today.
Paid for by Nebraska Game and Parks. Aired in cooperation with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer.
Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
Problem gambling affects millions of Americans daily, of all ages and walks of life. If your loved one is struggling with addiction, contact Choices Treatment Center's 24-hour helpline at 402-476-2300. That's 402-476-2300.
Hey, Husker Nation, Matt Davison here with 1890. It's an exciting time to be a Husker fan, and to keep that momentum going, we need your help. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics, and we're doing the same through name, image, and likeness. NIL is a unique opportunity for every Husker fan to have a direct impact on the success of our programs. Through 1890, 100% of your contribution goes to the student athletes. So go to 1890nebraska.com, choose your sport, become a member, and help the Huskers recruit and retain the best. Go Big Red.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
On the Block with Strick and Austin.
Hey, he looked as advertised. He looked really good in the spring game, and because of that, we're going back to a bowl game this year, is what Husker fans are telling them. So I think the fans have a more realistic perspective, and I think this coaching staff has done a really good job of handling Dylan Raiola and the expectations around him.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Be sure to check out the top-selling Recomp. Recomp helps build lean muscle and strength while decreasing body fat. Recomp is ideal for men and women of all ages trying to look their best. Recomp can only be found in Nutrition Authority. For info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
Harvey Perlman was there.
Yeah, Harvey's there.
Harvey sidled up to me and said, Sipple, a little out of context. So I was driving back. I called Pelini and I told him what Harvey said. He goes, Sipple, you should have told him anytime he's not near a sewer, he's out of context.
Whoa! Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hey, Husker Nation, Matt Davison here with 1890. It's an exciting time to be a Husker fan, and to keep that momentum going, we need your help. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics, and we're doing the same through name, image, and likeness. NIL is a unique opportunity for every Husker fan to have a direct impact on the success of our programs. Through 1890, 100% of your contribution goes to the student athletes. So go to 1890nebraska.com, choose your sport, become a member, and help the Huskers recruit and retain the best. Go Big Red.
Back with Vershawn Jackson, powered by Bauer, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the Captain on 93.7 The Ticket. Thanks for joining us here today. And we've got a special guest. Vershawn will join me here in a second to help interview our guest, Brad Balukjian, author of The Six Pack on the Open Road in Search of WrestleMania. He's in town because he's got an event at Francie and Finch Bookshop tomorrow at May 21st, Tuesday, May 21st at 5:30. And if you haven't been to Francie and Finch Bookshop, it is at 130 South 13th Street. So right in our neighborhood down here. That will be fun. Brad, welcome to the Captain. Welcome to Nebraska. And like I said, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me in.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump into it right away. As let me first of all say, this is a book somewhat about wrestling, but I've heard you in other interviews say it could be something that people outside of wrestling enjoy as well.
Yeah, I think that it has broad appeal, right? It's really about the humanity of these wrestlers, these guys from the 1980s. The premise is that I had a friendship with the Iron Sheik, who was my favorite wrestler as a kid growing up in the 80s. Got to know him later on in college. And back in 2005, I actually left my job at a magazine to go live next to him outside of Atlanta, Georgia, to write a book with him. But it went completely sideways. The first line of this book is the Iron Sheik just threatened to kill me.
Oh, geez, it did go sideways.
It gives you an idea of how, that's where we start from.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, at that point in his life, the Iron Sheik was so deep into the addiction that he was not in any condition to work on a book. So I went on with my life, went out to California, was there for many, many years. And only in the last couple of years decided to come back and revisit the whole Iron Sheik story. And in 2022, I drove 12,525 miles all over the country to reunite with the Iron Sheik, but also find the other wrestlers that were there the night he became the champion, the WWF champion in 1983, plus Hulk Hogan, who beat him a month later, and Vince McMahon, who was the promoter behind it all. And it's really the story of who these guys are in real life, right? Like the extent to which they became their character or, didn't. And so from that perspective, it's not a traditional wrestling book. I think it has a broader appeal.
Yeah, and it's certainly interesting, and it kind of is much like your other book, the Wax Pack, on the Open Road in Search of Baseball's Afterlife. which is kind of looking at these guys off the field, outside of the ring. Like you said, with wrestling, you kind of have a persona aspect to it, especially in the 80s. But I think we kind of just figure you watch these guys, these stars, whether it is baseball or wrestling or football or whatever it is, actors obviously, and just think, man, they have the life, but it doesn't always seem to be so true, right?
Yeah, I all my subtitles, these books are on the open road. I love being on the road. It's kind of like mimicking the lifestyle that athletes and wrestlers have, right? They're just always in motion. They're going from town to town. By writing these books and talking about it from my perspective, I'm able to kind of share with the reader how challenging that lifestyle can be. And yeah, athletes are performers, right? They're out there on the field. They're playing a certain role with the public. They have to have a certain persona. Wrestling is even more so, right? Because especially back in this era, these guys were expected to live their characters 24/7. So, if Hulk Hogan went into the grocery store and someone saw him, they weren't seeing Terry Bollea, the real person. They were just seeing Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan was expected to be in costume, right? Like, hey, brother, it's like could never let his guard down. So, yeah, I think my goal with these books, whether it's the Wax Pack or the Six Pack, is to show people the people, but the real people behind these athletes, behind the wrestlers, get a sense for what they're really like, and also one of the things that comes out of that is realizing how much we have in common with them. So I think that when you finish one of my books, you probably will put it down and think, oh, well, actually, like I can relate to that guy, right? It's he's dealing with the same things that I'm dealing with in life. He just happened to be a lot more famous.
Yeah. It is, again, we're interviewing here Brad Balukjian, joining us in studio, author of the Six Pack on the Open Road in Search of WrestleMania. And what are, I saw, you mentioned the Iron Sheik, Hulk Hogan. I also heard on another interview something that kind of caught me off. I wouldn't say caught me off guard, but actually something that I relate to is that you said that you kind of are drawn to, maybe, I don't want to say the underdog, but maybe some of the not central characters, not the champions necessarily, but some of the other characters. And that's something that's I've always kind of felt like too. My favorite players aren't necessarily the star players, and in wrestling, I'm usually kind of cheering for an underdog to eventually get his push. Doesn't always happen, but I always wondered, like, what does that mean about me that I cheer for not the non-star? Have you dived into that at all?
You can say underdog, Jake. That's true. I'm all about the under, and in fact, I found that the wrestlers or the baseball players that were less famous tend to be actually more interesting. In the Wax Pack, there was the guy that I think was the most friendly baseball player who I met up with was a guy named Jaime Kokenauer, who you probably don't remember. Most people don't remember. He played 4 years for the Milwaukee Brewers. He was much more interesting to me than Carlton Fisk or Dwight Gooden, who were these star players. Similarly, in the Six Pack, when someone like Hulk Hogan, when you've written 2 autobiographies yourself and you've had all that coverage, as a writer, it's hard to figure out, like, what can you say that hasn't been said already about some of those guys. But Jose Luis Rivera, who was one of the wrestlers I tracked down, I flew all the way to Puerto Rico to find him. He was one of the guys they called the jobbers. So the guys that would lose every Saturday morning on TV, kind of the, no-name guys that would always lose to the more marquee talent. And he was someone, again, that because the underdog guys haven't been under the spotlight so much their whole careers, they haven't told a lot of their stories. And so they offer a lot of new perspective, new stories, new insight that you probably haven't heard before. So that's part of why I find the underdog guys so compelling, is because they just haven't been asked. Also, fame does tend to go to your head. And so being less famous, again, in the long run, I think the guys that were less famous, maybe in later in life, maybe more well-adjusted actually in society.
Yeah. And again, we mentioned some of those names. I think another interesting name, certainly more and more interesting as of late, is Vince McMahon.
Sure.
Were you able to catch up with him on in this book as well?
Well, not surprisingly, Vince did not take my calls.
Yes.
But I was able to go around Stamford, Connecticut, Greenwich, Connecticut, which is where he lived for many years and where the WWE is headquartered. And again, one of the things I do in these books is I really get out there on the road, and I want to be describing the places where these people grew up, where they're from. So for example, with Vince McMahon, the WWE had their headquarters in this office building in Greenwich, Connecticut in the mid 80s. I actually went to that building and snuck in and was walking around and kind of like seeing it for myself, because I wanted to know what did the physical environment look like where, he worked all those years. And then I was able to talk to a lot of the people that worked for the WWE in the front office at that time in the 80s when they expanded nationally. Again, people that hadn't been interviewed before, people that had a fresh perspective. And even though I wasn't able to talk to Vince McMahon directly, after talking to 5, 6, 7 people that worked closely with him, like the TV guy, the magazine guy, the CFO, his assistant in running the various TV programming, those people gave me a pretty good idea of what Vince was like, how he ran things, how he was able to be a successful businessman, but also the dark side of, pretty much most of them said that he was certainly not the most compassionate boss, or, that he really kind of exploited the talent and the people that worked for him in order to be so successful.
Yeah, there are no shortage of opinions on Vince McMahon, certainly in wrestling. So that's kind of funny to listen to. I know another one, Tony Atlas, is our station owner, Derek Pearson, a big fan of Tony Atlas.
Very cool.
Yeah, were you able to catch up with him? I think
Tony,
you even got a workout with him, right?
Yeah, Tony was a highlight. Just an incredible guy. Went up to Auburn, Maine, Lewiston, Maine, where he lives. And I went to the YMCA with him to work out. He took me to his house. We went around town, got to meet his wife, and Tony's had more lives than a cat. I mean, just an incredible life story, overcome so much adversity, and one of the darker aspects though is that he's still at age 70, he's still wrestling, and not because he really necessarily wants to, but a lot of these guys they didn't have none of them had any retirement benefits or health insurance. And so that is sort of one of the sadder parts of this, is to see these guys who now their joints are all, busted. They have to get their knees replaced. And someone like Tony's in actually pretty good shape, but, at 70 years old, you really don't want to be in there taking bumps and knocking around a wrestling ring. But again, he's still got to make his rent. And so he's still out there as Mr. USA and leading the crowd in chants. And so, and I was able to go to where he grew up in Western Virginia and kind of retrace his childhood. And that's what I did for a lot of these guys, is go to the towns they grew up in. So Sergeant Slaughter grew up in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. So I went there and met with his football coach, and who's still alive, remarkably, and his childhood friends. And someone like Bill Eadie, who was in the tag team Demolition. I went to Brownsville, Pennsylvania, where he grew up, and was able to find people that knew him before he was this wrestling character.
Mike, let me ask you this, or Brad, excuse me. Do you have a few extra minutes? We could do another segment.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We got to, but I'm still interested. I want to hear more from Brad Baluchian, author of The Six Pack on the Open Road in Search of WrestleMania. Once again, he does have an appearance coming up at Francie and Finch Bookshop at 130th South 13th Street. Will be tomorrow, May 21st at 5:30 p.m. We'll catch up more and kind of dive deeper into this book and a little bit of a connection to Nebraska. So I'm glad to see you here in Nebraska. We'll talk about that as well. Coming up next year on 93.7 The Ticket.
Scissors and Scotch has opened their Lincoln location at 30th and Yankee Hill. Don't settle for an ordinary haircut. Go above and beyond at Scissors and Scotch. Scissors and Scotch provides your classic haircut service with optional membership discounts. From now until June 6th, Scissors and Scotch is offering the Founders Reserve Special for those who want massive savings. Learn more or book your appointment by visiting scissorsscotch.com or check out Scissors and Scotch's brand new location at 30th and Yankee Hill.
RC's Boxing Production is proud to present the new prospects at the Complex. Come enjoy a show of Lincoln's best professional and amateur boxers on Saturday, May 25th at the Complex, the former location of Champions Fun Center. Doors open at 6 p.m. with first bout at 7 p.m. Learn more about the boxers and buy tickets at thecomplexlincoln.com. You won't want to miss this event. It's the new prospects at the Complex on Saturday, May 25th at 1555 Yolanda Avenue.
right off of Cornhusker Highway.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
If you've been putting off your health, what are you waiting for? The summer 10-week challenge at Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping is exactly what you need to kickstart your wellness. Farrell's gives you all the tools, coaching, support, and accountability you need to be successful. The 10-week challenge begins on June 8th, and monthly payments are now available. Head to fxblincoln.com for all the details. Stop taking your health for granted and get started with Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping.
Sandhills Global is hiring. With their fast-paced, growing culture, they have hundreds of new openings in sales, marketing, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Full-time roles offer a 4.5-day work week, along with flexible internships in most areas. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Find your fit today at www.sandhills.jobs.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
Hi, it's Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's truck month at Koppel, and we want to sell them all. Choose between 0.9% APR or as much as $8,000 off list price. Yes, you heard right. That's 0.9% APR or as much as $8,000 off list on select new GMC and Chevrolet inventory. So please make that money-saving drive to Koppel in Louisville or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with approved credit must trade and finance.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Play ball! Looking for the ultimate change-up from the typical family night? How about a Grand Slam good time with friends and coworkers? Then unleash the fun at Haymarket Park with an action-packed, thrilling season of Salt Dogs baseball. Choose from 50 home games now through August with daily and weekly specials your whole pack can enjoy, including group discounts. Don't miss out on the magic and the excitement. Strike three, you're out! Visit saltdogs.com to reserve your tickets today. Unleash the fun.
Old School with DP and J.
Very small percentage of players, coaches, administrators thinking like, I'm planting my flag here. Nick Saban's run probably won't happen. It takes a very unique person and personality to be comfortable where you are, be strong enough to push to get what you need, and then also be very strong enough in a player's standpoint to advocate for yourself at the right time.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Back with Vershawn Jackson, powered by Bauer, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is the captain here on 93.7 The Ticket. Thanks for joining us once again. Rashawn Jackson will be joining us at some point. We'll see. He caught up into a little bit of business this morning, so I thank him for making some time to come on when he can. Terrell also caught up in some business today, so it's just myself for now. But thankfully, I have a guest in studio, and that is Brad Baluchian, author of The Six Pack on the Open Road in Search of WrestleMania. Also authored Wax Pack on the Open Road in Search of Baseball's Afterlife. You will have an appearance and maybe sign some autographs at Francie and Finch Bookshop here at tomorrow, May 21st at 5:30. That's at 130 South 13th Street. So go ahead and check that out. But let's get a little bit more into this book. And then I did want to ask you a little bit about the baseball book as well, because we are a sports station. A lot of people are intrigued by that. I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts. Or I guess I see the cover for the book is action figures of wrestling characters, and I know that for your baseball book, it was kind of inspired by a pack of cards you had. Yeah. Was it the wrestling idea similar to kind of those toys you played back within the day?
Those were the actual action figures I had as a kid. You can see, if you look closely, you can see all the scuff marks from all the paint and smashing them against each other. And yeah, the Wax Pack, they did a great job. So it was published by University of Nebraska Press, which I'm actually, this is an extra special stop for me to be back here because they published my first book. And the Wax Pack, the book itself is designed to look exactly like a pack of 1986 Topps cards, which is what inspired the book, which is, I took a pack of cards and opened it up and found all the guys inside. And it was perfect. The cover, they made it, it just evokes that nostalgia, that excitement of ripping open a Wax Pack as a kid and getting that stick of gum. So when my publisher for the Six Pack said, "Hey, what are you thinking for the cover?" Because that's actually what they do. Publishers will actually ask the authors, if they have an idea. And I said, "Hey, let's try to tap that same idea, that same nostalgia from childhood." I'm 43 years old, Generation X. Those of us that grew up in the pre-internet era, we're united by certain things like, baseball cards, playing with our action figures. So I said, the equivalent to me for this book would be getting a bunch of those figures from childhood and putting them on the cover of the book. And they did a good job. Initially, they actually had, if you don't know wrestling, you might not know what would be a realistic pose to put the figures in. So the first version I saw was like, no, that's not going to work, because wrestling fans know they're wrestling.
Yeah.
So I had to make sure they made sure that Iron Sheik had the Hulk Hogan in a headlock the right way, and that Tito Santana is coming in with his move, which is a flying forearm, and made it all realistic.
Very
and
cool.
It came out well.
Yeah. And I know that's interesting, because I know some authors get less influence on their covers, and they just go, it's just kind of what they gave us. So that's kind of cool that you were able to use your toys as a kid and put them in the proper positions,
exactly,
as the wrestling fans will know. So that's very cool. I also want to dive a little bit more. You said too, you had this kind of previous relationship with the Iron Sheik, and that he was your favorite wrestler growing up. Did that I guess first experience with him, did that, obviously to the point that he threatened your life, did that kind of take away from kind of meeting your heroes type of an idea?
Yeah, the tagline for this book is, they say to never meet your heroes, but Brad Baluchian doesn't listen. And and so that is, it's true. If you're going to meet the people that you idolize as a kid, you're inevitably going to be disappointed. Hate to break it to you, even the best, because when our heroes are meant to be infallible, right? They're not. We don't see them in the same light that we just see regular people, because they're elevated on this pedestal. When you get to know them as real people in 3D, with real feelings and real interactions, sure, there are things that are going to disappoint you, and especially the level of the Iron Sheik threatening to kill me. But the reason why I never wrote him off, or the reason why I came back to talk to him again for this book, is because even at his lowest moment, even when he was flying off the handle, I always knew that he deep down was not that person. That Khosrow Vaziri, who's the real person under the Iron Sheik, is a very serious, very thoughtful, very chivalrous guy with an amazing backstory from Iran. And so I knew it was like the drugs talking. I knew it was the wrestling lifestyle and culture having gone to his head. So I always held on to hope that he would one day kind of go back to who he really is. And I only was able to do this book because I found out that he had gotten clean and he was in a much better place in his life. And then when I found that out, I was like, okay, I could work with this. But sure, I mean, I think with all the baseball players and wrestlers, what I like to say is that after getting to know them, I maybe idolize them less, but I respect them more because I see, again, that common ground that we all have with these people, and they're more relatable, and therefore you kind of see them more on the same level as you.
Mm. Yeah, it's certainly interesting. And speaking of disappointment, like meeting my heroes, Rashawn Jackson and Terrell Farley, I mean, that's a perfect example of no. I'm just kidding. I just saw a chance to take a shot, so I went ahead and did it while they're not here. But again, we're speaking with Brad Balukjian, author of the Six Pack on the Open Road in Search of WrestleMania, and this was kind of based around the first WrestleMania. Is that right?
Well, it's based on not the event of the first WrestleMania, but it's based around when the Iron Sheik became the WWF champion, which was a couple of years prior. But it really it really is about the time leading up to that first WrestleMania.
Yeah.
So we talk about how Vince McMahon. No, so if we want to talk about local stuff in the early '80s, the AWA with Vern Gagne was the promotion here in Nebraska. That this was their territory, and the WWF was a regional promotion in the Northeast. And in a very short amount of time, which is what I chronicle in the book, in 1983, 84, 85, leading into the first WrestleMania, Vince McMahon went national, and he tried to buy Vern Gagne, the AWA, from Vern, and Vern said no. And so that pissed off Vince and sort of then motivated him even more to try to put promoters like Vern Gagne out of business. So I'm sure people in Lincoln, they remember, if they were fans in the 70s and 80s, they remember Vern Gagne and maybe the Crusher and these big names from that time. By the 90s, the AWA was gone. And now at some point in there, I don't know exactly when, the WWF started running shows in places like Lincoln and Omaha. And that became wrestling as people knew it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And through cable TV, through merchandising, through just really aggressive marketing, and through getting all the big stars in wrestling to come work for him, Vince McMahon took over and made the WWF the sort of mainstream brand name that became synonymous with pro wrestling. And that's sort of I don't tell that whole story, but I tell just the beginning of it and the role that the Iron Sheik and Hulk Hogan played to kind of launch the WWF and really change wrestling as we know it.
Absolutely. And one other question that just kind of comes to mind too is kind of thinking about the Iron Sheik and some of the problems that he had. Did you, as you interviewed these wrestlers, was it the fame? Was it, when these guys were typically at the top of the game where they would somewhat start to maybe have those addictions or have problems? Or is it usually kind of like in your baseball book on the path down, maybe when they're when they're no longer champion, when they're no longer the spotlight of the company?
Well, the seeds for the fall are definitely planted at the peak, right? So the schedule back then of being on the road and wrestling 320 days a year was not sustainable. And so it made it so to keep that pace up, a lot of them got addicted to all kinds of drugs, to self-medicate, to kill their pain, to have fun, to party. They had the rock and roll lifestyle. Plus, though, their bodies are taking a beating. So they also were taking, a lot of them were taking steroids to have the physique. So you have all the substance abuse layered on with the fame of, just having it all. And I think that you get addicted to that. So once it's done, once you're no longer, once you're in your 40s and you really can't wrestle much anymore, you're left with these addictions, and psychologically you're left with wanting that attention and not necessarily having something to fall back on. So the only wrestler that I met with who really didn't get as caught up maybe into the character and the lifestyle was a guy named Bill Eadie, who had a college degree before he went into wrestling. So when he was done wrestling, he was able to say, okay, well, now I'm going to go put my college degree to work. But a lot of the other guys didn't have that. So, what do you do with the rest of your life to make a living? And, again, you don't have any retirement benefits or anything from the WWE.
Yeah, it's an interesting industry, especially back then, and even through the years, to certainly work in, and that's kind of, to me, as a wrestling fan, somebody that pays close attention to it, is always kind of the intrigue behind it. Obviously, we all know it's predetermined, as you mentioned. Guys still get hurt. I mean, there's still a lot of physicality that goes into it, but really, I think for a lot of wrestling fans is the locker room talk, or the kind of stories that you dove into here that are just so fascinating to see what happens to the characters that we see on TV from week to week.
Yeah, wrestling will always, even though we're long past the era of promoters saying that it's real sport, wrestling always will have that little bit of mystique, right? That little bit of like, I wonder if that's real, like that storyline. And that's where wrestling is brilliant, in that it plays in that liminal zone, that boundary between myth and reality, between fact and fiction, that even if it's a show, you always want to kind of believe, well, maybe that little part is true, right?
Yeah.
Or it's based in reality. And they've gotten really good about playing with the audience's emotions. And I think that's what makes wrestling so compelling, is that it's it's entertainment, it's fun, but it's pulling at our emotions and allowing us to suspend our disbelief and escape, the way that watching an action movie or a fantasy movie allows us to do that.
And it's kind of interesting too. I want to ask you this, and I could talk to you for hours, because I find all this stuff fascinating. I don't take too much of your time, but I don't know how much you've gotten into wrestling as of late. But I'll just say this, and I don't mean it in any certain way, but you're not a typical wrestling man. You don't look like the typical wrestling man. And I find that funny, because I think we all can kind of picture what I'm talking about, is, and going to a show with Derek Pearson, DP, again, who owns the studio. I always thought it was funny, because he basically said, yeah, there was a guy on my right who said, I had to explain a kind of a local celebrity. And then the other guys are just wrestling fans, the guys that you kind of speak to. And then it's kind of interesting, because you sometimes have to have different conversations with people that kind of want to believe, like they might know it's not real, right? But they are looking for those angles. They're looking for those small, things that are based in reality, and saying, well, this part's real. What's kind of been the diverse crowd as writing a wrestling book? Have you run into a diverse crowd, I suppose, of kind of the I guess the smart man's wrestling fan, or whatever, in your typical wrestling fan?
Well, two things. So the stereotypical wrestling fan that narrative is a little bit overblown. It is actually a very diverse audience, in all axes of diversity. I was at a show right at the Raw after WrestleMania last month, and I'm sitting next to this guy who's probably a little bit younger than me, by himself, around my age. And, he keeps like kind of coughing and sniffling. And I was like, oh, maybe he has like a cold. Then I realized, no, he is crying. He is watching the show and sobbing. And it's like, so that, but I'm guarantee you, if I asked him like, hey, do you think wrestling is real? He'd be like, no. So he knows that it's a show, but again, his emotions are real. Right. So even those people that maybe get caught up in it, they still know deep down that it's a show, but again, it brings out those feelings. The other story is that way back in the Truman administration, which probably none of our listeners were alive for, when he left office, his wife Bess Truman, they asked her, what are you going to miss most about the White House? And she said, wrestling on Thursday nights, because at that point wrestling was aired from an arena in Washington, D.C. on Thursday nights, and she was an avid fan. So again, this idea that like, only uneducated, people are liking wrestling is definitely not true. I mean, but then, I am an unusual. I mean, I have a PhD in entomology, and I always say like, there's probably not a lot of entomologist wrestling journalists out there. but hey, that's what's fun is like, when you have really diverse interests, it's fun to be able to use all sides of your brain.
Yeah, absolutely. He is Brad Baluchyan, author of The Six Pack on the Open Road in Search of WrestleMania. It's been great interviewing you, and you have an appearance here at Francie and Finch Bookshop tomorrow, May 21st at 5:30. That's 130 South 13th Street. Brad, thanks for doing this interview.
Thank you. And if anyone, you have to bring your wax packs in, your six packs, and come on down.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. All right, we'll take a break here on The Captain. We'll be back. We'll try to get a hold of Rashawn. If not, I'm sure Rick will jump in the studio with me, and we'll get back into some sports talk coming up here next on 93.7 The Ticket.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
RC's Boxing Production is proud to present the new prospects at the Complex. Come enjoy a show of Lincoln's best professional and amateur boxers on Saturday, May 25th at the Complex, the former location of Champions Fun Center. Doors open at 6 p.m. with first bout at 7 p.m. Learn more about the boxers and buy tickets at thecomplexlincoln.com. You won't want to miss this event. It's the new prospects at the Complex on Saturday, May 25th at 1555 Yolanda Avenue, right off of Cornhusker Highway.
Okay, it's time to sell the house. How do we even begin to choose from the hundreds of realtors in town?
Easy. We make a pros list.
You mean a pros and cons list?
No, just a pros list. We need someone with pro photography to showcase the house in the best possible way, pro marketing to make sure we get maximum exposure, pro negotiations so we know we get the best price.
This is one of those times where you already know the right answer, isn't it?
You know it is. Ben Blecker and Professional Realty Group.
Contact Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's Home Services Ambassador. Online at prg-ne.com.
Hey, Husker Nation, Matt Davison here with 1890. It's an exciting time to be a Husker fan, and to keep that momentum going, we need your help. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics, and we're doing the same through name, image, and likeness. NIL is a unique opportunity for every Husker fan to have a direct impact on the success of our programs. Through 1890, 100% of your contribution goes to the student athletes. So go to 1890nebraska.com, choose your sport, become a member, and help the Huskers recruit and retain the best. Go Big Red.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Hey, Nebraska! Register today for the 40th annual Cornhusker State Games, taking place July 11th through the 21st in Lincoln, Omaha, and other Nebraska communities. The Cornhusker State Games features 70 sports for athletes of all ages and abilities. Price increases are approaching, so register early and save. For details, go to cornhuskerstategames.com. Special thanks to Platinum Partner Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, delivering dependable insurance coverage for your auto, farm, and home for over 130 years. Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, always alongside you.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Be sure to check out the top-selling Recomp. Recomp helps build lean muscle and strength while decreasing body fat. Recomp is ideal for men and women of all ages trying to look their best. Recomp can only be found in Nutrition Authority. For info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
You're spending $300 a month. Binge drinking is the most common form of excessive drinking, which costs the United States more than $191 billion each year. By drinking less, you will save $300 a month. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
The Mill Coffee and Tea, formerly with only 4 Lincoln locations. Guess what?
What?
There's 5 Lincoln locations now. Oh my gosh. That's 25% more Lincoln locations than there used to be. Can you even imagine a world where there's only 4 Lincoln Mill locations? Feels like ages ago. We were all so young then. The Mill on 11th, located right alongside 93.7 The Ticket Studios, 1040 O Street.
Constructors is now hiring for all positions, with laborers starting at $23 and up based on experience. Constructors has immediate job openings for laborers, mechanics, bridge builders, operators, and drivers. Start your new career today. Constructors offers great pay, health, dental, and vision insurance, paid time off, paid holidays, and so much more. Join the crew today and be a part of Nebraska's oldest paving company dating back to 1908. For a complete list of openings and to apply online, visit constructorslincoln.com.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
This is 93.7 The Ticket.
Look at me, sure. Look at me, sure. I'm the captain now.
Three-time national champion Vershawn Jackson.
Touchdown. Vershawn Jackson, number 34, gets the touchdown. Terrell Farley, defending Terrell Farley, who last week in his first start was a holy terror. Number 43.
And Jake Bakoven.
I've talked to a few cats. They said that Bach got some game, man.
Coming at you live from the Coppels Chevrolet GMC studios in the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Powered by Bauer. Here he is, Vershawn Jackson.
We are back here on the Captain on 93.7 The Ticket. I am Jake Bachman. He's Enrique Alvarez Clary, who is joining me at least temporarily until maybe we can figure out what Vershawn's up to. Vershawn has got a call, so he got kind of busy there. He's a busy man. He's got a few businesses and such to run, so who knows what's going on. But we will figure out soon. Terrell also off for today, so I thank Rico for joining me so that I don't just sit here and talk about wrestling, because I had a fun interview there, and I know not everybody is into wrestling. I wanted to ask you, Rico, did you ever get into wrestling as a kid?
I was into wrestling for a very long time, and then I just stopped watching it.
Yes,
I don't really know what happened. I just stopped.
As like maybe right when the time you started to like chase girls, or
maybe, I don't know.
Usually for a wrestling fan, there's usually this drop off to where like girls generally aren't.
I think it was like the middle of like high school, towards the end of high school. I just like stopped. Like it wasn't even like oh, this isn't cool. Like I just stopped. I'm not really sure why. I just wasn't watching it, and I never went back.
Well, fair enough. We'd
Very
welcome
sad.
you back at some point.
Very
if
sad.
you want to come back in as
It's okay.
wrestling fans.
No, I'm stuck in the olden days.
Yeah.
And by the olden days, I mean like the early 2000s. Like
Yes.
Eddie
Well, those were
Guerrero,
better
Rey,
times too, yeah.
the first iteration of Rey Mysterio,
Yeah.
Stone Cold, The Rock, Skinny Rock, not big, bolder movie star Rock, that generation of wrestling.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, well, fair enough. That
Back when it was WWF.
Yes, those were good times, known as the Attitude Era in wrestling, and yeah, there's probably like peak wrestling too, because those guys are like transcended, like there's wrestling famous, and then there's just like famous, and
Yep.
like The Rock and Stone Cold and guys like that, they like push the boundary into like they're just famous. I think today's wrestlers are only wrestling famous,
There's
except for The Rock.
Wankster John Cena.
Yes.
Back when he was rapping.
Yes.
That version of John Cena.
Not
Rikishi,
not
the
my
Great
favorite.
Khali, guys
Yeah.
like that.
So you know some of the wrestling famous wrestlers.
Batista when he wasn't talking, when he was just muscles.
Yes.
And he was with I don't even know what that group was called when it was Triple H, Ric Flair, young
Yeah.
Randy Orton.
Evolution.
Yeah, there it is.
See, you know a little bit of
A
wrestling.
little bit.
Yeah, you're pretty good.
Yeah, back in the day.
Well, and again, because I'm a wrestling fan, I feel like I can make fun of it a little bit. My favorite shots of the crowd is when they just show like a shot of the crowd going crazy or whatever, and it's just 60 guys. You can't find a woman. Like I
Yeah.
always do this game and like find a female in
Yep.
the audience.
Find the
sometimes.
female wrestling fan.
Because it can be hard. And I know friends that are into wrestling, and I did this as well. You have to wait when you start dating somebody, or it's not something you mention on the first date. In fact, sometimes it takes years for you to say,
You gotta
finally,
let-
hey,
they
I'm
just-
going to watch wrestling.
Exactly. Like they have to accept you for all of it. And then they're like, wow, I really like you. And you're like, good, because now you're stuck with me.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm a big wrestling fan.
We're watching Mondays and Fridays and pay-per-views. No. But yeah, I kind of did that to my wife. I know some other people have done that
Okay.
before too. So it's just kind of funny. And not to say
How
there
much-
aren't
how
female
much do you
wrestling
love me?
fans, but yeah. I'm going to need some alone time. And it's not. A lot of people say it's just a male soap opera, which is maybe why I'm drawn to it, because I loved soap operas growing up as well. Too.
There
It's
you
just
go.
drama. I just love drama.
It's a soap opera, but people are punching each other,
right. Yeah, that sounds better, right?
getting thrown through tables.
Yeah.
Like if there were more tables in The Young and the Restless,
And steel chairs?
yeah, maybe I'd watch.
I'd be a little more interested. So once again, thanks to Brad Belucci, the author of The Six Pack on the Open Road in Search of WrestleMania, joined us. If you didn't catch that interview, you can check it out at theticketfm.com here after the show. We will podcast it. I'll also throw something up on YouTube for it as well. But we can jump back into some sports. I wanted to ask you this because I think the front of Nebraska folks' minds now, as far as recruiting, is around Dawson Merritt, this linebacker out of Kansas City, the Kansas City area anyway. And he's basically said he's down to Alabama and Nebraska. And it's just made me think, okay, what's my pitch? If it's Alabama versus Nebraska, that's like the ultimate top of the card. Like, okay,
That
that's
is
the
a
place to
weird
go.
final too.
Right. It's usually if that's going to be one of your finalists, you might have an LSU or, Georgia or somebody else in there. But
Yeah.
for Nebraska, I think one speaks volumes to what Matt Rule is able to do. And we've seen him also bring in, some of the other top recruits in the country. So we're already seeing, maybe it's the Dylan Raiola effect, but what would be your pitch if it's down to Nebraska and Alabama? What would you say?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I see, the weird thing is you want to say something along the lines of Alabama is going through its own version of a rebuild with a new coach. You're exiting the Nick Saban era. You don't know what exactly Kalen DeBoer will bring to Alabama. Yes, he's won everywhere he's been, but will he be able to continue that success at a program that has seen the highest of the highs for so long? How long is he going to be there if he doesn't win a national championship in the first 4 years? Like, is there going to be some sort of anger from the Alabama fan base if you're not immediately competing for national championships? If you're Kalen DeBoer, is there going to be some type of hot seat discussion if DeBoer isn't in the college football playoff 4 out of 4 years? Is there, if you're sitting at 9 wins, is it going to be something along the lines of, and I know this is completely different, but along the lines of like a Bo Pelini, where you're winning 9 games for so long? Is that enough to get you into the college football playoff, which is the difference between that? But if it's not, how long does he have before he ends up gone? Whereas Nebraska is on year 2 of a rebuild and has all of this positive momentum going for it. And you can be a part of bringing this, blue blood, bringing this behemoth back to the forefront, where at Alabama, it's been there, done that for so long. Yes, it's a rebuild, quote unquote, of sorts, but you'll be another cog in the machine, so to say. And also not 100% sure how the defense for Alabama is going to look. Whereas, you had a top 20 defense this last year with Nebraska. As long as Tony White stays around, you saw what those linebackers were able to do. You saw what that defense was able to do. You'll be a part of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I think it's kind of funny, as you mentioned there, is maybe stability. Like Alabama doesn't have as much stability as Nebraska
Which
does
is
right
weird.
now. Which is weird for one. And it's also like, can anybody pitch that now in recruiting these days? Because there's no stability in college football in general. True. So it's just kind of like, if that's one of the top things you're looking for, well, good luck, man. You need to go back 20 years and then maybe we can find you some programs with stability. I mean, Nick Saban, I guess, would be the closest thing to that.
Dabo Sweeney, maybe, but is
Kirk Ferentz?
Yeah, I mean, but how much longer is he going to be? I mean, he's a little older. He's on the older side of things.
Stability it doesn't always work for if you're recruiting an offensive player. Like, yeah, there's stability, but
hey,
not the
we're
best
stable
guy.
here. You're never going to score.
Yeah,
but you'll have the same head coach.
I can imagine recruiting kickers and punters there is just like
easy.
Here's your heaven. This is
easy.
You're going to get lots of stats here.
You see that 5th round draft pick as a punter? That could be you.
We can do that for you.
That could be you.
But especially, I think it's interesting for Dustin Merritt. And I've mentioned this before too, is that Nebraska has not had a linebacker drafted, at least a linebacker that played at Nebraska. I think Randy Greger was drafted as a linebacker or something, but has not had a linebacker drafted since Levante David. So, I mean, you have this big of a gap, and it's crazy to kind of think about that, because Nebraska obviously has a proud history, but it's also like kind of explains to a degree. And I'm not saying they didn't have some good linebackers, over that time, Josh Banderas. I mean, you go through some names that were some pretty solid linebackers, didn't get drafted. Obviously, like a Will Compton had a great NFL career despite not getting drafted. And so, I mean, there's a few names in there, but when you think about that struggling at that position, maybe that is why Nebraska struggled so much in the Big Ten. I mean, we always talk about the front lines, but the Big Ten somewhat has been a land of linebackers as well, and Nebraska just has not been able to match that, I suppose, with some of the rivals that they have within the Big Ten.
The linebackers that Nebraska's had haven't been the prototypical Big Ten linebackers, where Nebraska's had the faster sideline to sideline guys, as opposed to the guys who can plug the gaps in the running game and take on the 220 plus pound running backs that the Big Ten throws at them week after week. And then you kind of have to have a mixture of the two in the NFL. So it's that strange process of kind of like what you said, where they haven't had a linebacker drafted. Nate Gary was a safety at Nebraska, drafted and played linebacker for a while when he was with the Eagles. I'm not 100% sure where he's at right now, but I do know that they packed the pounds on him and put him at linebacker because he was, a sideline to sideline guy, but he was also a heavy hitter who didn't mind, running up into the gap and taking on a running back. So they thought, oh, we'll just throw him at linebacker. And I believe he's still in the NFL, so it's worked out for him at least. I think he's a special teams mostly guy right now, but
I mentioned he just came back and graduated.
Yeah, he did. Him and Cam Taylor-Britt.
Yeah.
So Nebraska, in terms of linebacker talent, just hasn't had the right type for the Big Ten, which in turn hasn't been the right type for the NFL in terms of strictly playing linebacker, going on to the next level, and being a linebacker as well.
Yeah, it's kind of a fascinating topic because there's not one answer to it. There's just kind of a lot that dives into it. Let's go ahead and take a quick break. The captain is back. He will be joining us on the other side. And I want to kind of ask him the same question, kind of get his thoughts on that. Rico, thanks for joining me. But of
course,
how do you recruit against Alabama? If it's Nebraska against Alabama,
Kalen DeBoer just got there. Matt Rule's in his second year. Boom.
There you go.
There you go.
Stability. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back with the captain on 93.7 The Ticket.
Hi, it's Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and it's truck month at Koppel, and we want to sell them all. Choose between 0.9% APR or as much as $8,000 off list price. Yes, you heard right. That's 0.9% APR or as much as $8,000 off list on select new GMC and Chevrolet inventory. So please make that money-saving drive to Koppel in Louisville or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with approved credit must trade and finance.
Do you need motivation to get to the gym on the weekend or even in general? Tune into the Movement Hour each Saturday from 10 to 11 a.m. Movement Academy owner Robert Kuhlman will host the show as he introduces new ways to stay in shape. The Movement Hour every Saturday morning from 10 to 11 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just a professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, our passion. For happier, healthier furry friends.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Hey, Nebraska! Register today for the 40th Annual Cornhusker State Games, taking place July 11th through the 21st in Lincoln, Omaha, and other Nebraska communities. The Cornhusker State Games features 70 sports for athletes of all ages and abilities. Price increases are approaching, so register early and save. For details, go to cornhuskerstategames.com. Special thanks to Platinum Partner Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, delivering dependable insurance coverage for your auto, farm, and home for over 130 years. Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, always alongside you. The Nebraska Neurosurgery Group, led by Dr. Daniel Tomes and Dr. Benjamin Bixeman, is committed to providing the best care for all of your neurosurgery needs, like minimally invasive spine procedures, peripheral nerve release, brain surgery, including tumor removal and brain injury management, and more. The Nebraska Neurosurgery Group has outreach clinics throughout Nebraska and northern Kansas. Schedule your appointment with the region's top neurosurgeons at 402-904-4729. At the Nebraska Neurosurgery Group in Lincoln on South 27th Street. Or check out the website, nebraskaneurosurgery.net, for a full list of services and outreach clinics.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
Harvey Perlman was there.
Hey, Harvey's there.
Harvey sidled up to me and said, Sipple, a little out of context. So I was driving back. I called Pelini and I told him what Harvey said. He goes, Sipple, you should have told him anytime he's not near a sewer, he's out of contact.
Whoa! Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
You're spending $300 a month. Binge drinking is the most common form of excessive drinking, which costs the United States more than $191 billion each year. By drinking less, you will save $300 a month. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Old School with DP and J.
Very small percentage of players, coaches, administrators thinking like, I'm planting my flag here. Nick Saban's run probably won't happen. It takes a very unique person and personality to be comfortable where you are, be strong enough to push to get what you need, and then also be very strong enough in a player's standpoint to advocate for yourself at the right time.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Nutrition Authority invites you to check out Emerge Zero. Building off the original best-selling Emerge formula, Emerge Zero is a body slenderizing solution that helps blast body fat, curb appetite, and provide the energy you need to get through the day. Emerge Zero can only be found at Nutrition Authority. Check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
On the block with Strick and Austin.
Hey, he looked as advertised. He looked really good in the spring game. And because of that, we're going back to a bowl game this year, is what Husker fans are telling them. So I think the fans have a more realistic perspective, and I think this coaching staff has done a really good job of handling Dylan Raiola and the expectations around him.
Weekdays from 2 to 4 on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Back with Vershawn Jackson, powered by Bauer, on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on The Captain on 93.7 The Ticket. I'm Jake Balkovin, and of course, he is the captain, Vershawn Jackson, three-time national champ. Terrell is out today, but we will catch up with him tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week. Vershawn, I wanted to start off by asking you the same question I posed to Rico, because I think it's kind of an interesting little journey that we go down here, is that Kansas City area linebacker Dawson Merritt is down to Nebraska and Alabama. If you are in the room, if you need to recruit him and it's down in Nebraska, Alabama, What are you telling him to bring him to the Huskers?
Number one, I'm telling them that we are building a dynasty. We are looking for the next greatest linebacker to put their name up on the wall in Nebraska history, to go with the Terrell Farleys, the Levante Davis, the Mark Mumfords, the Jerry Murtaughs, the Andrew Shanleys, the Scott Shanleys, the Rudd brothers. There's so many great linebackers. If you want to talk middle line, Ed Stewarts, the Phil Ellises, the Mike Andersons of the world, the Mike Petkos, the list goes on and on and on and on and on of linebackers that played, the Jay Foremans of the world.
Carlos Polk,
Jamel Williams, Eric Johnson coming from safety to linebacker. There's so many great linebackers to put Will Compton, right? I heard you guys talking about Will Compton and him being one of those linebackers that was probably, obviously, if he played in the league for 10 years, obviously he went under the radar at Nebraska. You know, with having a Cody Glenn to get drafted that went from running back to linebacker and got drafted in front of him. So if I would tell him, we want you to be that next great guy. We want you to lead that room. You are the future of our linebackers corps. We don't want to give you money. We don't want to give you all these gifts because we're going to gift you to come. We want to be able to give you what you're worth because we want you to be here after 4 years or leave after 3 and be a first-round draft pick. But that's our goal for you, son. And if you want to come and commit to the University of Nebraska, we're not looking for you to get into the transfer portal. It's not going to be easy. But if you want to come, work your butt off, show us that you are the best linebacker in the country, then I think that we can do great things together. And I think you're going to go on to be a first-round draft pick in the league. You've got that kind of capabilities. You've got to work and put the work in now. What do you say? Does that sound like something that you would want to do, son? See, I'm going to ask him right there on the spot. I'm not going to open that, leave it open, right? I could have left it open. But I said, that sounds like something that you can see yourself doing. I wouldn't even talk about my competitors. Alabama don't matter. It don't matter what they're doing at Alabama. Because if I'm worried about what they're doing at Alabama, I'm losing him. If I bring Alabama up one time, I'm going to lose that recruit. Because you just said that Alabama had something that you don't because you mentioned them. Think Alabama's mentioned in Nebraska? And if they are, I bet it's in a negative light, but we don't need to stoop that low. We want guys who are committed to Coach Rule, Nebraska, the program, and what we're trying to get accomplished here. We don't want guys who are committed to NIL money, who committed to being a prima donna without putting the work in because of what you did. What you did in high school is what got you to a Power 5 offer in the NIL money that you're getting. Now, what you do with that is completely up to the athlete.
See, I think that's a good question because within that question is obviously the implication is, okay, if it's down in Nebraska and Alabama's been here and Nebraska's been there. And so that's kind of the difficulty of it is, and for the radio audience, obviously Alabama's been fantastic and Nebraska has struggled for the last 10 years. So obviously the difficulty in that question is, man, how do you overcome Alabama? But I think you're right. I mean, because I think there could be this, okay, well, here's an opening. It's, Nick Saban's not there. Maybe Alabama's got questions. Maybe we could throw some negative thoughts his way about what's going on in Alabama. But you're just, again, that's throwing stones from a glass house. But you're at Nebraska where you're at now. So I think the focus would have to be 100% on not what's been the past 10 years. Yeah, people can negative recruit Nebraska that way if they want to, but Matt Rule's not going to be talking about what's going on the last 10 years. He's going to be telling you what's happening in the next 5 for the kid that would be coming to school at Nebraska. But I think too, one thing that you said, I think that's important for Nebraska to keep in mind is if you are going to be, and they've got, I got an 1890 shirt on right now. They've got a very good, work, relationship with them. And so they're going to be able to throw some, it looks at least with some of the guys that are interested in Nebraska, they might be able to throw some big figures one way or the other at a few kids. But if that's what's going to be drawing the kid in, then you're right. I don't think that's going to be a long-term marriage with that player, because as soon as they get the money, doesn't matter, no matter what happens on the field, if they are searching for money as a recruit, they're going to be searching money as a transfer portal player as well in 1 to 2 years, I would believe.
Yeah, no, 100%. You want loyal. You want guys like Dan Kalen, who might not play for 3 years. Significantly, I'm saying. But when he does get a chance to play, he's going to be phenomenal. Does he run because they went and recruited this other guy and he committed? In order to be amongst the great ones, your whole entire team has to be great. And it starts with recruiting players that have the athletic ability to put you in position to win. If you don't get those guys, I don't care what you do, you're not going to win. Hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. So you can go get a linebacker. He could be super talented. If he doesn't work hard and outwork everybody in the room, or at least try to, it's not going to matter. So you better off telling them up front, okay? I sell used cars. Sometimes check engine lights are on the used cars that I sell. So I have a little scan tool. I can take the scan tool and erase the check engine light. But explain to me this, and then sell the car with the check engine light not on. So then once I sell the car with the check engine light not on, and the customer gets it, takes it home, drives it, the first time he put gas in it, guess what's going to pop back on? Check engine light. Now the car is not running any different. But because the check engine light popped on, and I didn't tell him that, hey, I bought the car with the check engine light on. It's an O2 sensor, and you do not want to spend $1,500 to get down to where the O2 sensor is, because the O2 sensor is $25. All the rest of the money goes towards the mechanic. Okay? It's a 2008. There's no reason to go spend that money if it's riding great. So it behooves me not to tell the customer up front and leave the check engine light on. Let them test drive it with the check engine light on. Turn the air conditioner on with the check engine light on. Let the windows down with the check engine light on. Open the hood with the check engine light on. Let's get on the highway with the check engine light on. What else do you want to do with the check engine light on?
Is Nebraska the car with the check engine light on?
Well, the check engine light. I see you threw me for a curveball. You threw my whole thought, because I got to think. I got to put them in the category of a vehicle, and what I would say. I would not say Nebraska is a used car. Okay, I'm gonna tell you, Nebraska is a brand new Mustang T-tops. And I'm a Mopar guy. I'm a Chevy guy, but I'm going to a brand new 2024 Mustang. And it's a 6-speed Cobra motor. Right? That's what Nebraska is right now. How do you make it go faster? How do you make it grip the road better? What type of extra components can you put with this Mustang to make it have 1,000 horsepower? And all my car guys out there, you know what 1,000 horsepower look like. You better put the wheelie bars in the back. Okay? So that's if we're gonna talk about Nebraska football is a brand new 2024. And they have all the money in the world to get any extra upgrades that they want. Here's what you can't do. You can't go get a Chevy part and put it on a Mustang. You can't go get a turbo, Mopar turbo, and put it on a Ford. It's not going to run right. You got to go get a Ford turbo. You got to go get Ford super parts. in order to make a Ford supercar, because it's a Ford right now. Sorry, Chevy guys. I'm a Chevy guy. I'm sorry. But there's one car I will drive in the Ford family, and that's a Mustang. I will do it. Just saying. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Well, that's good. That makes me feel better. It's not the car with the check engine light on it, at least. Not to say that that's always a bad situation.
No. Listen.
The original point.
No, when Scott Frost was here, every light, we call that every dummy light on known to man in the car was on. So check engine light, your TPS light, that's your tire control light, tire pressure monitor light, your brake lights on, your power steering lights on, every light known to man's on, but the car's still driving.
Yeah.
That was Scott Frost in there. That was what that was. Okay. We got a new motor now, a new engine, and I think we got a new driver. Hopefully we can get the right components. And I think that linebacker will be a great component, but we got to sell him on the right mindset and why he's coming to Nebraska to make Nebraska great again.
There we go. All right,
give me the hat.
Oh, yeah. That's
Make Nebraska great again.
There you go.
Get us out of here, Bob.
Next, we'll talk about who you're voting for in the election. No, we're not going to do that. We'll talk more sports coming up next here on 93.7 The Ticket.
Crazy. Long Beach to Compton. Always up to no good. Crazy.
The Nebraska Neurosurgery Group, led by Dr. Daniel Tomes and Dr. Benjamin Bixenman, is committed to providing the best care for all of your neurosurgery needs, like minimally invasive spine procedures, peripheral nerve release, brain surgery, including tumor removal and brain injury management, and more. The Nebraska Neurosurgery Group has outreach clinics throughout Nebraska and northern Kansas. Schedule your appointment with the region's top neurosurgeons at 402-904-4729. At the Nebraska Neurosurgery Group in Lincoln on South 27th Street. Or check out the website, nebraskaneurosurgery.net, for a full list of services and outreach clinics.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Hey, Nebraska! Register today for the 40th annual Cornhusker State Games, taking place July 11th through the 21st in Lincoln, Omaha, and other Nebraska communities. The Cornhusker State Games features 70 sports for athletes of all ages and abilities. Price increases are approaching, so register early and save. For details, go to cornhuskerstategames.com. Special thanks to Platinum Partner Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, delivering dependable insurance coverage for your auto, farm, and home for over 130 years. Farmers Mutual of Nebraska, always alongside you.
Are you looking to get into the electrical construction industry or wanting a new scene? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Garage doors can be expensive. Are you keeping yours in the best condition possible? This is Cameron Hall with Doors Plus. Doors Plus is a locally owned business that prides itself on the fast, reliable, and friendly service. Doors Plus offers flexible scheduling so you can book an appointment that fits your busy day. My team and I will come out to your property, both commercial and residential, and provide you with the necessary information you need to make sure your garage door is in working and smooth condition. Give Doors Plus a call today at 402-590-5800 to book an appointment and learn more about our preventative maintenance plans. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Nutrition Authority invites you to check out Emerge Zero. Building off the original best-selling Emerge formula, Emerge Zero is a body slenderizing solution that helps blast body fat, curb appetite, and provide the energy you need to get through the day. Emerge Zero can only be found at Nutrition Authority. Check us out at mynutritionauthority.com.
Spring often marks the beginning of severe weather, which can lead to power outages. LES wants you to be prepared before the storm. Restock your emergency kit, update your info with LES, and if you encounter an outage, report it at les.com/report.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9. With the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
93.7 The Ticket is proud to provide listeners with daily opportunities to win contests and prizes on our airwaves, and would like to take this opportunity to remind you of a couple rules. All participants must be 21 or older and must wait 30 days after winning a prize before participating in another contest. Once you win, you have 30 days to pick up your prize at the K&TK Studios, 1040 O Street in Lincoln, or your prize will be forfeited. Thank you for participating in our contest, and thank you for listening to 93.7 The Ticket.
Back with Vershawn Jackson, powered by Bauer on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
We are back here on the Captain Show on 93.7 The Ticket. Vershawn Jackson, the captain, three-time national champ, is right now on the drums there, if you can hear it in the background. I am Jake Bakoven here with you as well. Just a few sports topics to get to before we get out of here. And, of course, all of it is, it's college football, so it has to do with the transfer portal these days. First of all, just an update. Jaden Mangum, a Michigan State safety who Nebraska was after, was in on him anyway, has transferred to Michigan. So that will add a little bit more fire and flair to that rivalry. Unfortunately for Nebraska, do not get the safety Mangum. Would have been a good addition. How do you kind of feel, Vershawn, about the secondary? At least maybe was that something that they needed, or was that something that was like, hey, that could be helpful, but we don't necessarily need it? Do you see him making another addition this offseason?
I mean, unless you're going to get an elite player, a guy that's a game breaker, I don't think we do it. If the guy was a game breaker, you miss him. But I think, with getting Singleton back and getting a couple of guys that didn't play in the spring game back in that room, I think the room is solid, right? Because to me, Singleton is that man. He's going to be a dog when he gets back out there, right? But I don't think that you hit the panic button and get a mediocre guy. You got to go and get a guy that will be a game breaker, meaning when he's in the game, there's an interception coming. He's going to cause a fumble. He's going to make a play in the backfield. He's going to make plays that the ordinary person don't make. Why is Terrell Farley great? Why is Levante David still playing in the league after all these doggone years, right? Devin White, my cousin, came and went, and guess who's still there? Levante David, okay? So if Levante David wasn't still great, making plays, doing things that these young pups can't do better than him. So his market value is still high based on what he can do because he's a game breaker, not because he's a mediocre player. Okay. Mediocre players, even if they're over mediocre, right? And I'm talking NFL mediocre now. Even if they're middle of the road to good, if they're not game breakers, when their contract is up, they're expendable.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of mediocre players, Iowa's quarterback Deacon Hill. No, I didn't mean to be mean, but the big quarterback from Iowa found a landing spot. And it might not surprise you that it's not. I could give you probably 1,000 guesses. I don't know if you'd get there.
It's an HBCU school.
Utah Tech.
That's where I would have went. I'd have went to the HBCU.
Yeah.
And I would have changed it. Dude, could you imagine him at an HBCU?
I don't know. It's tough to tell, how good he is. I'd I don't think he was quite, obviously the Iowa, every quarterback's kind of struggled at Iowa these last couple of years, but he's just so big. I don't know. I'd still like to see a big quarterback. So it's entertaining at least, but maybe it will have a lot of success at Utah.
Listen, big Smash Burger beat us. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he was able to do that. Some other news out of the transfer portal, at least as far as talking about the transfer portal. Dabo Sweeney, who has not taken anybody for the transfer portal this year, really doesn't believe in it. He kind of has, taking his morals over what's going on in college football these days. He made a statement about how high school players are all transferring into the program, so those guys are all transfers. But he also said this. He said that most of the transfer players aren't good enough for Clemson. Said, it's really pretty simple. Most of the guys in the portal aren't good enough to play for us. That's just the reality of it. Now, I think initially you kind of think, oh, man, but he's probably right at least when he says most of the guys probably aren't good enough to play for Clemson. But, you could say the same thing about Ohio State. You could say the same thing about Michigan. You say the same thing about Georgia. They're still adding players to the portal and filling in voids that maybe there is a player or two that could be added from the portal. So I just found that quote kind of interesting. In a way, I think he's right, but in another way, it's still just because he's right doesn't mean that he's right in not taking transfer portal players, because I think that's going to continue to hurt Clemson.
Yeah, I think if you recruit well and you recruit for guys to stay, I think you'll be all right. I don't think the portal is the portal, man. If I just can't imagine me being a GM at Toyota store and me coming to get a great salesman like yourself, Bach, and you coming over to me and I'm taking care of you in the money department. You're making more money than you ever made before. I'm letting you go on vacation. I'm giving you Saturdays off so you can go to football games. I can't imagine you doing something else. Based on what? So the portal, you still got to go to another school and perform. Now, if you go to a lesser school, to me, that's smart. If I'm in the portal, I'm saying to myself, guess what? I'm going to take my opportunities to a school that really can use my services. I am not going to a Penn State. I'm not going to Clemson so I can compete with 5 other guys that's better than me according to the coach. No, I'm gonna go to Utah Tech. What did you call them?
Utah Tech, yeah.
I'm gonna go to Utah Tech where I can be the guy where they love a big quarterback. Everybody's gonna love me, and I'm gonna go and win games with them. I bet he win. I bet he have a winning season with them. You don't even know who they are. What's their mascot?
I have no clue.
See, that's what that's how I know he's going to be good. What league do they play in?
Let me check here. Utah Tech University. That's good. So
FCS.
Huh? Brooks the Bison is their mascot.
Perfect, and it's probably an FCS school. Can't be an FBS.
No.
So you're in an FCS school level. He's going to go, and I promise you, he's going to be all right. But that's what I would do. I used to tell my buddies that if you feel like you can go to a lesser team and help them be a championship team on that level, why would you ever come to Nebraska and sit on the bench for 5 years just to say you play for Nebraska? Like who does that? Why? Now, I get the love for Nebraska, but at some point, now I'm not saying that that's not for everyone. I'm saying a guy that maybe not, that's a phenomenal football player, but maybe he don't have the measurables to play at Nebraska because of what we're doing scheme-wise. Go somewhere where your talents are going to be used. It's not always about, and if you really look at it, I bet you if you looked at the NFL draft, there's probably 10% of the guys that got drafted were from a lower tier than FBS. You think?
I don't know about 10%, but yeah, there's a good group of them.
I bet. Well, it's only 253 spots or something like that, right?
Yeah,
258, something like that. So we're not talking about a lot. We're talking 25 guys.
Yeah.
You telling me that 25 guys from FCS didn't get drafted?
Let me look.
Yeah, check that out before we check out of here, because this is, to me, this is monumental to understand the dynamics of football. And it ain't always about going to a big school if you're looking at the big picture.
So 10 FCS players were taking the 2023 draft.
Okay, well then how many HBCU players?
Not sure.
And then you got to go to the league under FCS, Division II. I guarantee you there's a couple of Division II players. So did they say how many?
Well, a lot of the HBCUs are in the FCS.
Okay.
So it's kind of hard to track that way. But
10 total?
Yeah, last thing, here's something from August 29th, 2023. There are 20 players. So that would have been what? This would have been before the last draft. But there are 20 players on NFL rosters from HBCUs, 16 from the FCS, and 4 from Division II.
Okay, so can you look and see how many Division II players got drafted this year?
Yeah.
Because it's FBS, FCS, Division II, Division III, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see, at least in 2022, so that's a recent draft. I'll keep looking, but there were 5 players drafted at Division II.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll bump it to 7. So I'll say 17 players out of 258, 257, 653 came from a lower tier.
Yeah.
Well, there's more FBS schools than there are FCS schools. I don't know. I think I'll take my chances to be the best guy on a FCS team or Division II team where I can showcase my talents than me be the third option on a team full of dogs.
Nothing makes me more mad as a Nebraska fan is when, there's like a second round pick out of Utah Tech, and you're just like, Nebraska can't get one,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So, hey, man, we appreciate y'all for riding with us today. A little bumpy, but that's all right. The weather's going to get a little bumpy this afternoon, a little bit later on this evening. So, y'all hunker down on that. Bach, what do you got?
Well, we do have the Adam Character Show coming up next. I know he's got a couple good guests, including Steve Taylor coming on.
It should be interesting. I might listen. Anything can happen on the Adam Character Show as well. And by the way, this is the fastest 2 hours in radio. There can't be a fastest 1 hour if there's 2, because we gobbled it up already. Box, we're powered
by
Bauer,
Infrastructure,
Bauer,
Underground,
Brand,
Excavating.
Listen, Terrell Farley be back in the building tomorrow. Thank y'all for riding with us. Fastest 2 hours in radio. The Captain Show signing off. See y'all tomorrow.
Also, Delco Dave's. Thanks, Delco Dave.
Oh, you Delco Daver. Chill.
There are over 1,000 kids in Cedar's care today. We're here to ensure that